Hey everybody! So today I want to try something a little bit new, both in the story that I'm telling and as well the format that I'm telling or testing or trying or whatever. I like to try different video ideas every once in a while. And the thing that I want to try today is answering a question from the comments. Now, on a lot of different YouTube channels, you will find Q&As with the creators answering a lot of questions in one video. But I think there are two flaws with that. The first one is that it's difficult to search for an answer if it's already been given, because you cannot put all the questions being asked in the title of the video. And because there are multiple answers in a video, you cannot really answer something well. So what I want to do is pick one question from a commenter every once in a while and answer it as good as I can in a full video. So if you already have a question in mind, leave it in the comments down below. And today we're going to answer a question from Robert van Gameren, I think he's Dutch, about my RME setup after 2 years. So let's get started. In order to connect all the analog signals, all the analog equipment in my studio, I'm running converters from RME, and I'm doing that now for, well, over 2 years. I think it's already 2.5 years that I'm doing that. And there are basically two reasons why I switched away from my Motu converters, which I had before. The first reason was reliability. So I had a set of Motu 16A and 8A converters. I actually had a total of 64 channels of those things. And the 16As started to fail. They either got into a reboot loop or didn't want to start in the morning or other weird stuff. And this turned out to be a heat/power supply issue where the converter did run so hot that it basically destroyed its internal components, like its capacitors and that kind of stuff. And because of that, it started to malfunction. And while this YouTube channel is a lot of fun, the biggest part of my week I'm spending mixing and mastering audio projects for clients. And I really need my analog to digital conversion working, because otherwise I cannot use all this beautiful analog gear. So I knew I needed to switch to something else. This happened around the same period where I did rebuild my room and got new speakers. And after a few months, Leonard came by to check out what the system was doing, if everything was functioning correctly, and basically to do some fine tuning. And I showed Leonard a few projects that I did on these speakers. And then Leonard said, okay, can I quickly listen to my own reference, because I think there's something wrong. And he set up his own reference and I was like, this sounds amazing. And he was like, yeah, I don't know. Let me quickly run to my van and get my own interface. So he got his ADI2 Pro from RME and connected it to my system. And I still don't believe that this happened, because I'm a bit ignorant for these type of things. I think that the sound from a converter cannot be that different, but it was. There was a huge difference. I was blown away. The biggest difference in sound, I think, was the definition and precision in the sound. It just sounded so much more precise. You really have to experience and listen to it in order to understand what I mean. I think it's very difficult to describe how something sounds. So literally after we switched back to my Motu converters, I wanted to have an RME as well. So after Leonard left, the same day I bought an ADI2 Pro to run my speakers, my monitoring system, because I really needed that sound. And from there I decided to upgrade my whole setup to RME. So what my converter setup currently looks like is I've got an ADI2 Pro, which is connected to my speakers. I've got an M32DA for 32 channels of analog outputs, and I've got an M32AD for 32 channels of analog input. And these are all separated converters, and the way they connect to my computer is through an HDSPE MADI FX PCIe card. Yeah, they couldn't name it simpler. And a PCIe card doesn't fit directly into my Apple Silicon Mac Mini, so I also have a Sonnet PCIe enclosure over Thunderbolt. And the way that the system connects is the M32s are running over MADI and the ADI2 runs over AES protocol. Now, this whole setup is definitely not the cheapest. It's well over 10,000 euros, but to me, it's worth every penny that I paid for it. When it comes to sample rate, I'm running the whole setup in 96 kilohertz and I'm oversampling the ADI2 in 192 kilohertz because that gives the filter a little bit more room. The reason I'm using 96 kilohertz is basically because most plugins sound better in 96 kilohertz. I really noticed a small increment in quality when going to 96 kilohertz. It's not a huge deal, but you know, plugins that do not have oversampling and that kind of stuff, they get more room. And also it seems that the M32s sound a little bit better in 96 kilohertz. There's always a sweet spot when it comes to sample rates. Higher isn't always better. There's also a balance in like the amount of power that you need. Because for instance, the MADI card splits the amount of channels you have in half when you are doubling your sample rate. Anyway, I'm drifting a little bit off topic, I think. The main reason why I bought RME has been fulfilled, I think. They have been rock solid, knock on wood. But yeah, really, I haven't had any problems, any headaches with it. They've been basically transparent in my workflow. I forget that they are there. And that's also an RME thing. The RME interfaces are very boring, very straightforward. If we look into the settings of the M32, it's only business, no fancy stuff. Just the settings, which you basically set up once and then you forget about it. And when it comes to the ADI2 Pro, there is a lot more settings in there. It's a lot more advanced, but it's still all very serious stuff. No weird plugins or analog simulations or whatever. Cool feature about the ADI2 Pro, by the way, is that you can change the in and output filters, which is something that I recommend everybody doing, but I also do not recommend everybody doing because it's super confusing and it's very difficult to settle with one setting. I'm currently on the SDLD setting, just so you all know. But I also like the NOS setting. Now, one of the things that a lot of RME interfaces come with is TotalMix. And my HD SPE card also has TotalMix. And TotalMix can basically route signals everywhere and do things with signals completely free of latency. And if you look up TotalMix, you'll see a lot of people complaining about how difficult it is. And, you know, I gotta agree with the fact that it's not the easiest software, but once it clicks, it's actually pretty straightforward on how to use it. And I'm not using all the features in TotalMix, but I am using quite a lot. I can change the signals on my speakers from my Stream Deck. TotalMix is also taking care of the loopback for the video so that I have the audio from my DAW, all that kind of stuff. I can do a lot of cool routing stuff, all digitally, all in TotalMix. And if you want to see a tutorial about TotalMix, let me know in the comments down below. I think a good tutorial needs to be made about TotalMix, but I also don't know if my audience actually wants to see something like that. So yeah, TotalMix is really cool, definitely because it's latency free. The setup that I have is very low on latency if you're not using Reaper. Because this is basically my only flaw that I have with my interface setup, but it's a flaw that I probably would have had with other interfaces as well. Because in Logic, I can go down to 16 samples of latency without any problem with 400 channels and no problem at all. But Reaper is just shit when it comes to audio engine integration. Glenn actually made a video about this a while back and it seems like they either can't fix it or they don't want to fix it. Everything under 256 samples is basically not possible in Reaper. Super annoying when you have such an expensive setup and you cannot really use it the way it was built. So yeah, if somebody from Reaper is watching, I would love to collaborate on showing the problem and showing logs and give you all the information that you need to fix this problem, because I don't want to switch away from Reaper because I have so much customization in there. Am I going to do future RME purchases? If you've listened carefully in this video, you would have noticed that my Motu setup consisted of 64 channels and that my RME setup consists of 34 channels if you count in the ADI2. And I did think about that beforehand. I was like, let's first purchase this because this is already a lot of money, and later on, extend the studio to 64 channels. However, turns out that I can perfectly manage with 32 channels. And expanding to 64 channels would basically be a luxury purchase. It would make some things more comfortable, and I would fixed patch certain things to those channels. But for now, 32 channels is enough. Also, maybe in a few years, it would be easier to get them secondhand. Who knows? But for now, the 32 channels are okay. And what I actually really need is some sort of a Swiss Army knife when it comes to interfaces. Not necessarily to use in this room, because I am working on a certain project. But I am thinking of getting, after a little while, because I have other purchases lined up as well, I'm thinking of getting an UFX type, either the 2 or the 3, which one suits my workflow the best. But those interfaces can do a lot of things. They have preamps in there. It has an inputs, outputs, MADI. It basically has all the stuff that I need in a 1U rack mount box. So that's probably going to happen somewhere in the far future, because I'm actually working on other workflow related things that are more important right now. So yeah, that's it. I'm still as happy with RME as I was when I purchased it, and it does hold up to the promise. RME is known for their rock solid drivers, which is definitely the truth. It just all works. They have their updates ready and everything. It is still what I expected from it. So that's really cool. So really, if you're looking for a new interface, take a look at RME as well. It's very high end, so it's also priced high end, but it's definitely something you only buy once and probably use the rest of your life, as long as software is supported. But RME is very well known for the software support. So I'm going to put some affiliate links in the description down below to Thomann and probably Sweetwater as well, where you can check out my setup. And if you want to buy it, please use my affiliate link. I'm not affiliated with RME directly. They don't even know that I'm making this video, and everything from this video just comes from honestly answering the question from the community and from my literal experience with these RME products. So I want you all to know that. And if you appreciate my independence, make sure to use my affiliate links like the ones in the description down below or the ones that are on the screen right now. If you want to buy something at Thomann, Sweetwater or Plugin Boutique, make sure to scan my QR code and you are helping me without it costing you anything extra. Another way to support me is by becoming a channel member. Channel members get early access to content and some exclusive videos. I'll link an interesting playlist over here. Last way to support me in the whole YouTube platform is by watching more videos. Link an interesting video over here. Thank you all a lot for watching. Let me know what you think of this content format. Keep pushing and bye bye.